Greetings. Welcome to I Have a Testimony. I'm your host, Willie Muhammad.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
The founder of the Nation of Islam in the West and teacher of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, said that he could sit on the top of the world and tell everyone that the most beautiful nation is in the wilderness of North America. He wrote those words in reference to the female members of the Nation of Islam, known as the MGT and GCC.
Lost Found Muslim lesson number 1, question and answer 14. What is the meaning of MGT and GCC? Answer: Muslim Girls Training and General Civilization Class. This was the name given to the training of women and girls in North America. How to keep house, how to rear their children, how to take care of their husbands, sew, cook, and in general, how to act at home and abroad. These training units were named by our prophet and leader of Islam, W.D. Farrakhan.
We are taught how to sew. We are taught the dressing room of our ancestors, so now we dress in a way where men could not know the beauty of our form, but they will come to know the beauty of our mind, of our expression, of our face. We make our clothes and do not allow Satan to dress us and degrade us.
I can only imagine how proud Master Farrakhan Muhammad had to be in observing our sister, Sister Carmen Muhammad, when she took the modest style of the MGT and GCC on an international fashion stage.
Al-Nisa comes from the 4th chapter in the Quran,
Yes.
which is the Al-Nisa.
Right.
And you chose it because it is entirely a full chapter that is entirely addressing women. Correct?
Absolutely. It talks about the woman. It talks about our submission. It talks about our roles and our rights. And as women in Islam, we are connected to Allah in a very special way.
Correct.
You know, we are the first teachers of our children, and we have a very responsible role. And so I saw this as a way of propagating our faith, you know, women getting to want to know more about the faith, because it's like, oh my God, Al-Nisa, where does that come from? So it gives me an opportunity to share my Islam with them.
Joining us today is our sister, who you just heard on this clip. Welcome you, Sister Carmen, and we thank you for accepting the invitation to our guest on I Have a Testimony.
Thank you so much, Brother Willie. I just want to say that I am extremely humbled and honored to be a guest of yours and to be able to share with you my journey in fashion and in Islam.
Yes, ma'am. Well, let's get right down to it. So, you know, I enjoyed the time I had to talk to you leading up to the preparation for this interview, and I heard so many stories, and all of this helped me in my preparation. So first, I would like to begin by asking you, and you can share with the audience, just how you learned about the Nation of Islam and eventually joined.
Yes, sir. I was actually 15 years old when I was first introduced to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. My older sister was attending the mosque. I had an uncle who was actually a registered member of the Nation of Islam. And the first couple of times that I went, of course, being 15 years old, I was very attracted to and mesmerized by what I was seeing with the nation in terms of, you know, the men on one side of the room, the women on the other side of the room, and just the camaraderie that I witnessed, the brotherhood, the sisterhood. even being 15 years old, it was very attractive to me. And it was the first time that I had ever seen so much unity among Black people. And I think that was what really sat with me as a young teenager.
Yes, ma'am. And as our guests can, as our viewers can see, our sister is very dynamic in her dress. I love the color coordination that she has. So that leads right into our next question. How did you begin to develop your flair for fashion?
Well, like I said, I was 15 years old when I was first introduced to Islam. I was quite a social butterfly in my hometown, the city of Long Beach. And so as I began to study Islam more and more, I decided that I was gravitating more towards this was something that I really wanted to do. But also during that period of time, I was a dancer on Soul Train. So being that I have become quite popular in the city of Long Beach because I was, as the young people say, repping Long Beach, right? When I decided that I was going to be a Muslim and join the Nation of Islam, all of my friends that were around me were like, what are you doing that for? You can be a star. You're on Soul Train. Oh my God. So I think that at that time, I was worried about how they were going to accept me going into a public high school as a young Muslim woman. So I was always loving to dress, loving to style myself. So I saw that as an opportunity to take that talent and to develop it so that they would see me as the same individual, but just someone who had accepted Islam. So that's really where it all began.
And how would they respond when they would see you taking your sense of fashion and combining it with the Islamic style of dress and dress code?
They were literally knocked off of their feet. They were like, oh my God, I was expecting you to look like a nun. I wasn't expecting this. You know, you still sharp. You still got it. And I said, yes, and you can have it too. Muhammad makes you better. He doesn't make you worse. So they really, it really kind of opened the door for me to have more dialogue. And I became so popular as a young fashionable Muslim dresser on my campus that the women began, or the young sisters who were my age, they said, well, we want to go. Can we come to the mosque with you? So I was like, at some point, almost out fishing the brothers because I was bringing all of my friends to the mosque with me on Sundays. So it was really wonderful. And it really stuck with me because it taught me that, you know, that clothing can become a conversation piece, and it opens the door for you to have dialogue with people when they see you and you are fashionably dressed and you're not following a fad or a season or something else that, quote unquote, the world is saying is fashionable.
Wow, that's beautiful, and it shows that there's just another way that we can attract our people to this beautiful teaching of Islam. So how did your sense of fashion, that it eventually evolved into you opening up your own fashion design business?
I think, you know, again, I was always intrigued with wanting to represent the highest level of civilization. And we were being taught that. And I thought this is an opportunity for me to be as creative as I possibly can. So basically, I would use my daughters and myself as a prototype. Whenever we were having a big event in the Nation of Islam, you know, that would be my opportunity for me to style something uniquely different, but something very beautiful, and maybe something that kind of was a little bit different from what we wore as our standard uniform that we would wear on Sundays and Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays. So I became, you know, quite well known for that. And then I just started being, you know, approached by different sisters in the nation and they say, hey, do you just do this for you and your daughters, or is this a business? And I said, I just want us to represent. I want, when we walk out the door, I want us to stop traffic. I want the world to know that we represent this great teaching that is being taught to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And that's really where it all started. And it kind of it trickled into me wanting to really develop my own line of clothing.
So what advice would you give to young Muslim sisters or even young Muslim brothers who have that same flair for fashion and they're in Islam, but they also may want to continue to work within the fashion industry?
First, I have to say this, Brother Willie, this has been a real journey for me. This is one of those industries that is one of the most difficult industries to get into. I wasn't formally trained in fashion, so there are a lot of things about the business of fashion that is necessary that we acquire that knowledge, because at some point, if you're really serious about developing your own line, there are different levels of training that you're going to have. My encouragement would be that we understand that there is an old world on its way out and there's a new world on its way in. So we must prepare ourselves so that we can dress our people, so that we can introduce our people to the highest level of civilization. So I would say definitely pursue that. Link up with people that are doing this so that they can help give you direction and guide you through this. It's really quite grueling. You really have to have a passion for it, and you really have to love it and understand that you're going to have hiccups. You might lose tremendous amount of money in the beginning because there are so many different intricate levels to it, from pattern drafting to samples to actually manufacturing. And unfortunately, we don't do these things, so we have to rely on someone else to do it. So I would say definitely study the business of fashion and just those areas in itself: pattern drafting, manufacturing, textiles. How do I do this? How do I import, export, and then approach it from that level? But definitely I encourage everyone, and I have got to say this. I'm so happy that I chose Al-Nisa as the name of my line, because Al-Nisa represents the woman. And Al-Nisa is not just Sister Carmen Muhammad. We have so many talented, brilliant designers in the Nation of Islam that are emerging and on the cuff and that are ready to bloom. And we have to lift each other up. There's plenty of room out there for everybody. We should never be envious of each other. We should never be jealous of each other. You got Stella McCarthy, you got Louis Vuitton, you got Marc Jacobs, you got DKNY, and everybody is making money. So we don't have to worry about that. We just have to do as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us: pull our resources together, pull our knowledge together. Let's unite for this one thing and let's make it successful.
And that's powerful. And thank you, sister. And we're coming up on our first break, and we're going to pause for some brief public announcements.
Yes, sir.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been falsely accused of being one who hates women. To those who say such, I propose that they listen to this clip and read the testimony of the young brother who said it was the minister who helped him to get a better view of women.
If you sisters in this audience don't recognize your sacredness, I want you to listen to your brother. Women are sacred. And if you don't see yourself as sacred, it's because Satan has robbed you of the knowledge of who you are and ripped you off from your divine destiny.
So we're back with our Sister Carmen, and she shared how she came into the Nation of Islam, her love for fashion, and how it evolved into what she's doing now. So my next question is, in preparation for this interview, I found out that out of 125 participants, only 5 fashion designers were invited from the United States to participate in the Torino Fashion Week in Italy. So this is a 2-part question. The first part of it is, 1, can you tell us about the significance of this Torino Fashion Week?
Brother Willie, that was truly an honor. And I say that because it was a divine intervention with Allah that I would even end up in Torino. I was approached by a very powerful woman in the Middle East who had seen my fashion, and she emailed me and said, I'd like to speak with you. And I was, yes, ma'am, of course. She called me, she told me, she said, I've been studying your fashion and I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing. And Torino Fashion Week will be the first mainstream fashion week to ever put modest fashion in the spotlight. She said, up until now, the world in the business of fashion has focused merely on the other side of fashion. And we have the opportunity to represent what a modest woman should look like and what she should dress like. So she asked me, she said, I would love for you to come. I know that you are a member of the Nation of Islam, and I am inviting you as my friend and with love. And before I knew it, I said, yes, I would be honored. And it was her words and what I felt in her spirit when she said to me, I know you are a member of the Nation of Islam. And I said, oh, Allah, I don't know how I'm going to do it, because I knew that I had to come up with a complete collection. and to put together a collection, a seasonal collection, you can easily spend $30,000. I wasn't even at the time thinking about how I was going to get over there. My first thought was, where am I going to get the money to put the collection together? And I shared it with a dear sister friend of mine in Los Angeles. And she says, Carmen, you got to do this. And that Sister Georgette Muhammad, was very instrumental in assisting me financially in the beginning. And of course, other sisters like Sister Sonia, Sister Vivian. Before I knew it, my sisters were pitching in, and they were like, this is something that you've got to do, because the only thing that I was hesitant about was such a large sum of money to put a collection together. And once the sisters got behind me and encouraged me even more that you must do this, I knew that it was something that Allah wanted me to do.
Wow, that's beautiful. And also just reflects the sisterhood. Now, when you went over there, you not only just dazzled and you all and the sisters just caught everybody's attention, but you won 3 awards. Can you talk about the awards that you were blessed to win by Allah's grace?
Yes, sir. I did win 3 awards. And I have to tell you, brother, you know, I often say that Sister Carmen, I see myself as like a small dot on a piece of paper, that I'm so small, I can hardly see myself. And I would be remiss if I did not say that all of those that went with me, all of the prayers, they were a supporting cast. Sister Ebony, the sister who documented everything so that the world could see it. When they saw us move, we've been taught in such a matter that is magnifying. We don't really realize, I think sometimes, what we have with this teaching when we represent ourselves as true MGT and true women of God and virtuous women. Brother, everywhere we went, when we walked in the show, it was like the show stopped. When we got ready to showcase my collection, I was just so excited. And I went to the organizer and I said, I know that this is a show that you already have professional models, but will you allow me to put 2 of my sisters on the runway? Because I'd like for them to wear the headpiece. And he said, Carmen, we love your spirit. You can have anything you want. And when I saw those sisters walk down that runway with pride and dignity and holding their head high, and I looked in the audience and I saw my fellow sisters, my MGT sitting there, brother, I was in tears. I was in tears. And so I didn't go there with any expectations. I didn't go there with a thought of winning, because I felt like when Allah put me on the plane with no money in my pocket, but enough money for my first night of room stay, I knew that God was involved in that. And so I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that God had wrote that script and that it was all about what he wanted. So when we went back for the final showing, we were sitting in the audience, and the sister that had invited me said, we're now going to name the people that won awards. And she went through the names, and we're sitting there and we're just clapping, because again, we had come there and did what we had to do, because we had all of Italy's eyes on us as Muslim women. But then she got to the final name, and she said, Carmen Muhammad, Al-Nisa Designs. And brother, I stood up and I said, all praises due to Allah. Because what that said to me was that they represented or they understood that we represented a new level of civilization. And I cried all the way going up to the stage, and I got the award, and I came and I sat back down. And they said, and now we're going to give honors for the Louis Vuitton Brand Ambassador Award. So I'm saying to myself, okay, Louis Vuitton, that's something that we already know what that's about, right? She named 2 people. And then she said, and Carmen Muhammad, Al-Nisa Designs. Brother, I felt like my knees were going to buckle, not because it was a Louis Vuitton Brand Ambassador Award, but I said, look at my God and how he is showing out and showing to the world who we are. I went and I sat back down, and they said some more awards. These were the final awards of the evening. We're just sitting there. We're all thanking Allah and crying. And she said, I'd like Sister Carmen Muhammad to come back to the stage again. And brother, I'm telling you, I couldn't hold back the tears. I was just thanking Allah. And after the show was over, people were coming to us. They wanted to take pictures with us. We went to get on the bus to go back to the hotel. And we got a standing ovation when we got on the bus. All they were talking about was the pink hijab women who had stole the show in Torino, Italy. And what it was that we, the women who represented Master Farad Muhammad, who represented the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who represented the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, had came and we had showed the world what we were working with. Brother, I tell you, it's bringing chills to me right now as I speak about it, because it was so, so, so beautiful to see our nation being given what we deserve to be given, because we are the standard of the Muslim woman all over the world.
Yes, ma'am. And we have one minute before our next break, so I'll be quick with this. What was one other brief reaction you can share about the impact of you all being there? If you can do that in like 30 seconds, I know that's a lot.
God, just wherever we went, people would walk behind us as if we were Jay-Z and Beyonce. You know, I mean, they were running up. They wanted a selfie. They wanted a picture. They wanted this. They wanted that. And when you come back, I have to tell you about what I felt like when we heard how the minister felt when he saw that.
Definitely will. And we're going to go back and show this, because in preparation for this interview, when I came across articles, this image that is on the line right now, it captures it when it talks about how these hijab wearing pink ladies stole the show at the Torino Fashion Week, you know. And it to me, it embodies what we hear many of our sisters talk about when they're out in the community and they have their garment. I've heard sisters in our mosque talk about how people thought that they were nuns and want to pay for their food and where are you all from and different things like that. So thank you for those comments, and you definitely have such a beautiful spirit, and I feel it radiating. We're up into our next break, and we'll be back with more right after these announcements.
Yes, sir.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan exhausts himself using the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to help teach women the value of themselves and how to, as for us as men, how to properly handle them and how for them to properly handle the men in their lives.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught her how to help me to become a man. I ain't gonna let her say this, but she would tell you if I wasn't here that I wasn't always the man that I am today. She would tell you I was a mess. She might say that. But she learned how to control her mouth and how to use her mouth wisely. Because a man can't take being cut down by the woman that he loves. If you cut him down, what you gonna do with him after you cut him up?
Before the break, you were talking about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's response, and I know a lot of spirit is all up in this interview because that's my very next question, right? So how did the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan respond to you, to hearing the great impact that the sisters had on doing these fashion shows?
Oh my God. I think I first heard about his response from Sister Betsy Jean, who I love all of that family so dearly, just because of their sacrifices. And, you know, Sister Betsy Jean is the standard and was one of the greatest captains in the ranks as it pertains to MGT captain. All of the women that have been MGT captains are some of the greatest sisters in the ranks. But she called and she was so excited. And she said, "Sister, we watched you. I mean, we watched you every day." And she said, "Oh, my Father," she said, "you all brought tears to the eyes of my Father when he saw you all and how you were representing the women of the Nation of Islam in Torino, Italy." And when I finally had the opportunity to speak with the minister, brother, I was so emotional. You know, I'm just, you know, every time I'm in his presence, I'm always ready to just get on the ground and bow down and can I just kiss your feet, dear minister, because you have been a father to all of us as women. And he shared with me the joy and the tears. And brother, I said to myself, wow, you know what? I mean, there's no greater joy than to know that you have done something that is pleasing to the man that God has here in our midst today, the Jesus. And I thought, wow, I needed that mercy. I needed that grace. And it just, I just don't even know how to describe it. It was such a blessing, brother, such an honor. And I was just so humbled. And when I look at the minister, all we ever see in him is humility. So I make sure that every day when I get up and I pray, I say, Allah, just keep me humble. I want to be like him. Oh God, I want to be like him. So, I was just overjoyed.
Yeah, was there any guidance that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan shared with you regarding the sisters, regarding your travel there and their participation in this entire Fashion Week? Because this was the first time in Nation of Islam history that something like this has taken place.
Yes, sir. He shared a lot. I got a little bit of a spanking too. He shared a lot. You know, the sisters that accompanied me on this trip were all sisters that I'm interactive with all the time. And, you know, we sometimes feel like, well, we're just doing a girls' trip, you know, and we're not thinking that, you know, we don't move ourselves, you know, and we don't move women. I certainly don't move women. You know what I'm saying? We all fall under a certain protocol. And I think that was the best lesson that I could have learned with regards to that. I was always, because I came up prior to 75, I've always been an extremely security-minded person. So on every trip that we took, I always took my son as our security because he does dignitary protection, and he as well knows, you know, how we should be moving and what we should be doing. But that was the beauty in the women that I had with me. We were all very conscious of that. But it's very important that when we're moving like that in an hour like this, that, you know, we are always seeking the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And that is what I learned and what I was told.
Yes, ma'am. Now, in the conversations that we had leading up to this interview, you talked about you shared a very powerful story about how when you were doing an interview, you talked about how the dress of the MGT is really at the root of this modest dressing. And you talked about the impact, the response of I think a photographer.
A reporter. It was a reporter. Yes, sir. It was when I went to the De Young Museum in San Francisco. I was the only Black designer to become a part of a modest contemporary exhibit that started at the De Young Museum in San Francisco. It went from San Francisco to Germany, and now it is in New York at the Smithsonian Institute. And as I was being interviewed that evening, the reporter was asking me, you know, about my history with modest fashion. And I told him, I said, we've got 171 designers on display in this museum exhibit, and I'm the only designer from the Nation of Islam. I said, but let me share this with you. We talk about modest fashion and its roots, and whenever they reference modest fashion, they always run to the Middle East to that, and that has, quote unquote, become the standard in the business of fashion, as that's where modest fashion come from. But like I told the reporter, we, the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, are the true trailblazers of modest fashion. We were wearing modest clothing and dressing in the highest form of civilization when the whole world didn't want to do anything but take their clothes off. So you can't tell me that modest fashion started with Muslims in the Middle East. Yeah, they had a standard and a way of life, but see, we didn't have to dress like that. We dressed like that because we understood who we were as women, and we were taught that it was the highest form of civilization. So if you want to talk about fashion being incorporated into this society here in America, that you cannot do that without raising up the fact that modest fashion started with the Nation of Islam, not with the Middle East, not here in America. And he put his camera down. He said, "Can I hug you? Because I've been waiting for somebody to tell the truth."
Wow. And listen, I feel that conviction of your response to him I feel it in your response that you're sharing it. And that's something that you deeply believe and you know to be the truth. And we're getting ready. We have a couple of more minutes before we come up to our next break. But can you share, because after this break, we're going to talk more about the minister and your interactions. But I want you to share now, like, how examples of how you have seen the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan be an advocate for the rights of women.
Every time he does a lecture and he is focusing on the value of the woman, the value of the mother, the value of the daughter, the beauty of the woman, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan does nothing but lift the woman up and inspires us to be women of God. Everything that he does is to build a better life for us. He understands who we are. He understands that we are that second self of God. And he tries every time he speaks to us to let us know that his love for us is so pure and so real, and that he is the protector over us. And he will continue to do that because he is constantly exalting the women.
That's something. And I saw that there were several pictures of you with this. It was a Muslim sister. Is she like a fashion designer?
I'm not sure which pictures we're speaking of.
We don't have a picture, but I don't know if it was Alamanda or something. Is that like a Muslim fashion design? It may have been with the sister who actually called you, who invited you.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Aliyah Khan.
Yeah.
Aliyah Khan is over the Islamic Fashion Design Council out of Dubai. And she is a Muslim. Yes, she is a Muslim. Yeah. And she is an advocate of modest fashion and incorporating modest fashion shows into secular shows that are Fashion Week events.
Yeah, you and know all of the images that I've seen in preparing for this with you, with other fashion designers, your spirit and the beauty of your spirit resonates in those pictures. And I can tell how, like you said, when you went to the guy and you said, "Can I have these sisters to model?" And they said, "Because of your spirit, whatever you want." So I can feel that, sister, and it's resonating even in this interview. So we're coming up on our break, and we'll be back and we'll have more discussion with our Sister Carmen Muhammad.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
He anointed our head with oil till our cup runneth over. He who, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, that is he.
Greetings from National Network View. This week's Final Call cover story headline reads, "Food shortages, COVID-19, and fears of a major crisis. The coronavirus pandemic is disrupting food supply chains and hurting multiple food industries. People are worrying that the pestilence could impact the ability for Americans to eat." This FCN volume number 26 edition features the middle page article by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This message is entitled, "The Key to Success is to Do for Self." To read more, subscribe to finalcalldigital.com. and tune in to the all-new Final Call Radio. This is the NNVnews.com Final Call Cover Report.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan just doesn't only teach women about what their responsibilities are and what they need to do, but he also teaches men on the importance of respecting and protecting our women.
Look at your people. Beautiful young black girl in West Virginia. But it's because of us that don't love and respect our women enough. That a white man could do that to a black woman and expect nothing in return. Go ahead. No people allow their women to be hurt and they don't come back with something. What kind of men have we become? And as long as your woman is and a whore in your mind, you'll never stand up for her. And if you won't stand up for her and the children that she produces for us, it is better that we be dead. That's right. And soon you will be. We got to stand.
Such a beautiful man. And while he's the subject, let's talk about him. You know, this show is titled "I Have a Testimony," and it's aimed to give people the opportunity to really learn the real spirit and character of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If you had the opportunity to testify before the world 3 qualities of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what would those 3 qualities you would select to testify of him and why?
It would first be his unconditional love. He has shown and proven that he has an unconditional love for not just women, but for us as people in his many sacrifices that he has given and made for us, that we become a free people. His compassion, as he just spoke in the slide that you said, his compassion and his love coupled together for us so that he can save us from a destruction that in a world that has begun to unravel. And just his humility, the humanity that he displays as a man of God, as a Jesus in our midst today. I mean, you got to be who he say he is. Look at the makeup. Look at the qualities, the truth. I mean, I can just go on and on and on and on about that man who I love dearly.
Yes, ma'am. What would you say has been one of the most profound things you've learned from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Patience. Patience. And I say that because in this life journey, as we go through life, we're going to have highs and we're going to have lows. And we have to learn how to have patience with God as he grooms us for what we are going to receive. I remember the minister said that impatience will rob you of everything that patience will gain you. Those are words that I have engraved in my mind, because we live in a world and we live in a society that makes everything seem fair seeming, and it makes everything instant. I want instant this, I want instant that. And I say that because we'll get in the line at Starbucks, and if the drive-through is too long, we get upset and we ready to leave Starbucks. So we have to learn how to be patient with whatever process that God is taking us through, because we have to know that when we're patient with God, that he's pleased with us. and that we're going to have trials. We're going to have all of that, but patience and endurance.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for sharing that. For those who are watching, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share so we can get other people to witness and experience this very beautiful interview. And make sure you hit the subscribe button for NNV as well. So we also talked about how I know COVID has kind of slowed it down a little bit, but can you share with the audience how some of your clothes, the designs, they're now part of an exhibit, right? You were telling me about.
As I stated, there's one other designer that is African-American that's a part, or Black, that's a part of that exhibit, pardon me. But she's more of a stylist. I am the only Black designer that is a part of that exhibit. And it is, like I said, currently at the Smithsonian Institute in New York. Even though they've had COVID and they've had to close the museum down, they are determined for this exhibit to show itself and people to see it. So they've actually extended it. They keep extending it. You know, it's supposed to be there for 6 months. They'll extend it for 6 more months. And I'm very humbled because they decided to do a documentary accompanying the exhibit. And they only chose 5 designers out of that 171 designers. And I was chosen to be a part of that documentary. And it allowed me to speak about, you know, my love and where fashion started in the nation and, you know, all of that. So that was really, 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 truly a blessing.
Yes, that is a blessing. First, it was 126, and you were one of those who, and now it's another 100 or so, and you are one of those that are selected. I want to ask you about this because you talked about, you know, you advocating for the sisters to be able to model the wares. Like, for those sisters who had the opportunity to travel with you there and travel to these areas, like, what was that experience for them? What was some of their reactions? Because it's one thing, like, you hear about our dress, but then you go into this international fashion and you're seeing these fashion designers of great name and reputation just blown away. What was that like for them, for the sisters?
They were, I mean, for them, it was so beautiful. They were very excited. And I think that, you know, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm from Long Beach. I never envisioned myself traveling internationally like that. So I was like a child in a candy store, just as they were. They were extremely excited, extremely honored, you know, and was just taking everything in. And we were all bearing witness with regards to the teaching. And I want to say this to you. I think that our experience in Dubai was one of the more powerful experiences as it relates to the travel. And I say that because it was one thing to be in Italy and Paris and to be in an environment, a European environment, but then to be blessed to be able to go overseas in a country that is, quote unquote, pretty much a Muslim country. You know, Dubai as it is today is only 16 years old. And to go there and to see how the women from the Islamic world were reacting to us as women from the Nation of Islam, it was just, brother. And I tell you, it was such a cultural experience because I thought about one thing that the messenger said, and I really want to share this with the audience. You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has promised us that in our obedience and being good servants and being good Muslims, that we would have money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life. Well, I'm going to tell you something, brother. When you go to Dubai, that's exactly what you see. Money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life. And so it was just, you know, seeing them stop everything and have prayer. And I said, you never saw what we see here. You didn't see a lot of violence, you know. It was just really beautiful. And I said, what I felt like was that Allah was allowing us to take a look and a peek into the heaven that we were going to have, which is going to be 10 times what we saw in Dubai.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you for that. And as we get ready to close out on this interview, and I thank you for your very beautiful and heartfelt testimony and just your overall spirit. Last thing, how can those who are interested in seeing more of your designs and purchasing them do so?
We are right now working on an online store, which will be launched shortly, but they can always email me or go on my Instagram page, Alnisa Designs, and they can contact me through the Instagram page as well as through my email, womenworkingtogetherinc@yahoo.com. We are about to do a show, inshallah, as soon as this COVID lets up. So we've got some things planned where hopefully they will be able to engage us. But I'm here, brother, and I'm here for my sisters. And I want to see us all be successful as a nation, as a thriving nation of women and a thriving nation of designers. So feel free to contact me. And once again, Brother Willie, I humbly thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I thank our national laborers. I thank the believers all over the Nation of Islam for supporting me, for supporting you. And let's up you, mighty nation, because we can accomplish what we will.
Wow. Well, we, sister, thank you. And I thank you for what you're doing, because what you are doing and what you have done is a bearing witness to what Master Farrakhan Muhammad, Allah in the person, has came and he's promised us. So thank you. May Allah continue to bless you, and thank you again. And we're going to be closing out.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. And for those who are watching, as we get ready to close, we want you to remember, as I say, as our mosque here in the city of New Orleans, and we're thankful for everybody who has given thus far. We're working to pay off our mosque mortgage, and whatever you have to give, we would greatly appreciate it. You can give it on Cash App, you can give it on PayPal, and we would like that as well. And also, as we talk about this, prayer. And I'll share this. The Honorable Minister, somebody informed me that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan shared a prayer for our brother DMX, who is experiencing what he is experiencing. The scripture talks about how the power of a righteous prayer. So we have a prayer group here in the city of New Orleans. So if you need personal prayer, your family members or anybody of that, just send your name, send their information, and we'll submit the names to our prayer group. So we appreciate you all, brothers and sisters, for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button, because that helps with the algorithms, so more people can actually see what we're doing here at NNV News. Make sure you tune in through the week. NNV is a daily news network. I'm on a Central Time, so 5 p.m. Monday through Friday at Central Standard Time. But make sure you tune in. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you comment. Make sure you share. And you can do that right now, not tomorrow. Hit the like button, share, and tell everybody else. We have our own Black-owned news, our national news network. So thank you. This is your Brother Willie Muhammad, and we'll see you again on next week, inshallah, with I Have a Testimony.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.